Things are afoot in the 411. We'll tell you what's up and more right after this. And we're back.
We're back.
Big news. So, I don't know. We may have a guest come in flying by video. I don't know. He was pretty reluctant to do it, but we'll see. We'll see if he shows up or not. But
we'll see.
It's a little rainy this morning.
It's a little rainy. Rogersville didn't appear to have any storms, anything of major, but some areas did. I heard that Ron Hurst was just on point last night, but I wasn't watching, so I don't know for sure.
That's good to know. No, I wasn't watching either. I'm sorry.
Sounded like there were some naders maybe north of Springfield area.
I know we were in a warning watch, which it's a watch if they think if the conditions are present for a tornado. It's a warning if they've spotted one.
It's have you seen the Taco Night meme describing this?
Yes, I have. I just can't recall it off the top of my head.
It shows a picture of all taco ingredients separate.
That's a taco watch.
That's a taco watch.
Yeah.
And taco warning is we're eating tacos.
We're eating tacos. Yeah. Okay. So that's a good tip. Good healthy tip.
All the things are present.
It's like if you've got milk, eggs, and flour and butter, you can make a waffle. Mm-hmm. But when we've got them in the waffle iron, now we've got a
we got a warning. We got a waffle warning.
We got a waffle warning. That's right. So.
Every waffle's a waffle warning. That's how seriously we take this. It's election day, right?
It is.
What?
Yeah. And I think all eyes are kind of on that Springfield school board.
Holy guacamole.
Hundreds of thousands of dollars have flown in from all over the country to influence the outcome of this, or at least all over the state. I don't know, probably the country.
I don't know.
But lots of out-of-district money being spent there. Primarily, it appears to preserve the status quo of a more left-leaning school board that is currently in place.
Well, I mean, it's interesting because, and Jesse made the comment last night. He's like, does Springfield only have one school board? And I'm like, yeah.
Springfield, because Landon McCarter was a guest here on Planet 417. We interviewed him. Springfield is the largest school district in the state of Missouri.
Yeah, yes,
it really
I knew that.
Yeah, so it's a big deal, I guess. Big doings.
Pickled.
So it'll be interesting to see how that election comes out. Here locally, if Rogersville, Fordland both have, Fordland has a couple of things on there. About to tell you, Joe.
You read our mind.
So in the county, there's like a nursing board members.
What is that?
I guess we have a county nursing board.
For like nursing home compliance?
I don't know. Maybe we should run and get on the board, Lauren. Then
that sounds terrible.
A little bit.
I'm not there yet.
There's very little countywide stuff. I think it's all just the board stuff, board level stuff. Is who want to serve on a local, maybe a fire protection district, stuff like that. Rogersville and Fordland's got some school district elections. Rogersville is actually electing 2 school board members, but only 2 ran.
Yeah, so nobody was contested.
But the 2 local issues, for Fordland and Rogersville, that will be interesting to see. Are the 3% tax on adult use recreational marijuana sales?
Yeah.
To which I tongue-in-cheekly looked at my wife. But what about the children?
What about the children?
What about the children? Because it's an adult
that
use.
is kind of interesting. I hadn't thought about that element of it. What did when they passed the marijuana thing? Because in Missouri, you can legally use marijuana for recreational purposes.
If you're into that.
For what age? Is it 18? Is it 21?
It's adult use. I can't remember.
So 18?
I think it's higher than that. I could be wrong. I don't know.
I hadn't even thought about that.
We'd have to
so
get on the
my
DuckDuckGo.
My assumption is that the state law allowed for counties, cities, whoever, to impose a 3%.
Yeah.
And so Rogersville has opted to go ahead and vote for that, or at least vote on that.
Yeah, vote on
because it's allowed. Because I don't believe we have a dispensary in town that I'm aware of.
I don't believe we do either. I always think it's interesting because the ability of the general public to misunderstand, misinterpret, and misapply things never ceases to amaze me. And I turned to my wife last night as we were kind of we kind of went, do we have anything to vote on? And so we looked it up.
I pulled it up.
Went to Stan Whitehurst, because we live in Webster County website, Webster County Clerk website, and looked at the sample ballot to see what was on there. And there was really nothing for us to be able to vote on because we live out in the
I guess
county.
That's true. Your name,
I guess we could vote for nursing board, but I don't know.
Again, I don't know anything about a nursing board.
Probably not going to do that. I guess that potentially makes me a bad citizen.
No, I think that's okay. I think if you're not informed about something or don't have a reason to vote for a particular person, I think it's okay to not vote. I really do. And that's coming from someone who's voted.
If only more people took that option.
A lot.
Lauren, we might
now, I mean, something like a nursing board, I don't even know how you'd become informed on something like that. I guess you'd have to call the county and say, hey, what is our nursing?
What
I'm assuming it's some sort of oversight.
Maybe we should have Stan Whitehurst come in as be a guest on the Morning Waffle and tell us all about it.
Sorry, my eyeballs are
I bet Stan would do that. He's an entertaining
That'd be interesting.
Guy. He's been our county clerk for like 30 years.
Good grief.
Yeah.
There's another Webster County thing that comes up that's kind of, and maybe it's the fire board that I'm thinking of.
It's the fire board. Well, and there's the health department board is elected.
That's another one that has surprised me on a ballot before. And I've been like, what?
And then you can run for not county commission, but like the delegates for the Democratic Party and the Republican Party to be on the Central Committee. The committeeman. That's what I'm trying to come.
That's another one. You can run to be
if you're like I think I'm in East Benton now, maybe West Benton.
No, I don't know what I am.
Township, and so you can run and be your committeeman. Now, normally a lot of people don't run for those, and so they become like self-perpetuating boards. Those Republican and Democratic county party committees fill themselves. But the marijuana thing. So what I think is interesting is I can see people going, look at that and say, shall Rogersville impose a 3% sales tax upon all sales of adult use recreational marijuana within the city limits of Rogersville, which I'm pretty sure is about what it says. I can see people going, well, I don't want them selling marijuana in town. I'm going to vote no.
Yeah. And I mean, really,
which would not be the right way to interpret that.
Which would not be the right way to interpret
not taxing it isn't going to stop it from being sold. But I can see that being interpreted as authorizing the sale within the city limits.
I totally
as people misread and misinterpret and misapply.
Oh, it's authorized. It happened.
It is authorized. Well, by constitutional amendment.
Yes.
So
it happened. Here we are.
No pun intended. Baked into the fabric of the Constitution of the state of Missouri is your right to consume recreational marijuana because we amended our Constitution to do that.
I'm going to throw something out here, and this is going to seem very random, but it's connected to my greater thought. So around Rogersville, and I'm sure we're not the only one, there are little single shooters of liquor bottles all over the town. Okay, so people...
Like for sale or trash?
That they've drank and chucked out their window. So, you walk around town, it's not just... And they end up in my yard, they end up in my neighbor's yard, they end up, all over town. Which means that somebody is, driving over to, Apple Market or the little liquor store or whatever, and they're buying little shooters. Joe's
I appreciate that,
write
Joe.
you in.
Interesting thing about write-in names on ballots, unless you're registered as a write-in candidate, it doesn't matter.
I've heard this. I didn't know that until recently. So
thanks anyway, Joe.
All these little shooters of, and not only are they littering, but they're, drinking and driving.
Which is illegal.
We're not supposed to do.
Yeah.
So, okay. So every time I see one of those, I kind of start thinking, like, I don't think we need to be encouraging any more abuse of substances in our country. Like, call me crazy. Like, and my just general thing on the marijuana deal was I believe it kind of ultimately led to an encouragement of the use of another drug, and I don't really think we should be doing that. And I don't think we should be doing that on many. I think prescription medicine's overprescribed. I think, I just think there's a lot of issue with that.
Well, you got to consider, and we lived for how many hundreds of years, depending on how you count, without prescription drugs.
Yeah.
Now, we
died young.
We died young. And, there's some really cool stuff out there like penicillin.
Yeah, that was a win.
And aspirin.
For the masses.
But, there's a lot of pharmaceuticals now that we use because we just, I feel blue today. And depression's real. I'm not downplaying that at all. Absolutely.
I think
you need mental health treatment, and sometimes that includes pharmaceuticals.
Yeah.
But to your point, it probably potentially is overprescribed. Many drugs and many different.
I think in general, it's harder to treat the source, right? So we treat the symptoms.
Yeah, of course we do. Mental health professionals, they do therapy, talk therapy, whatever. I don't really know how that works.
Well, and I'm not even talking about mental health medication. I'm talking about medication in just in general. I think it's kind of one of those things where, it's just overprescribed in a lot of situations.
Yeah, well, like you should eat better. Yeah.
Eat better, exercise, get appropriate sleep.
You're stepping on the toes,
Maybe
Lauren.
don't use drugs. But I don't know. We can preach about this and it's not going to change it. I think there's just a lot of crutches. And I think the recreational marijuana thing is a big old giant crutch that we've put on society.
Well, I just look at, I suppose it depends on who you talk to some extent. But people I talk to, if I know people, and I know people, Colorado, some of those states that have had this for a while, they're just like, it was a terrible idea. It's kind of ruined our state to some extent.
I don't know. And
everybody's going to have their own opinion about that.
I know I'm tired of traveling with my family and smelling marijuana everywhere we go. That's frustrating.
Get used to it, I guess.
It is what it is. But anyway, kind of a Debbie Downer subject.
Yeah.
That relates back to I'm not going to quote Dwayne Hoffman. He's pastor at one community. I'm not going to quote him perfectly, but the Easter service that I went to, the thing that resonated the most, that is still stuck in my mind, I'm thinking about, if you put your faith in politicians, you will be disappointed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and that's a pretty basic. If you put your faith in anything but Jesus, you're going to be disappointed.
You're going to be disappointed.
Yeah.
So
everybody else will let you down.
Yeah, and it's just like,
Well,
at its core, yeah.
And ultimately, that's a lot of what we've got. A lot of people putting all their faith and hope in other things. Politics is a huge one right now. If you want more political conversation, watch the Monday show. We'll avoid it.
Yeah, we won't
morning.
dive deeply.
You can watch the Monday afternoon show, and we'll talk politics there. But we'll not do that now. But things are afoot. I mentioned that in the bumper.
What's afoot?
Divine Deli open for dinner now.
Thursday, Friday, Saturday, right?
Friday, Saturday. Their wine station is up and flowing.
It's exciting.
And people really like it. And it's really a cool idea. Is you go and you get your wine glass and you get a card and you preload the card.
Yep.
With money.
Yep.
And then you can go to these wines. I don't know, he's got like 3 of them, and they've got like 2 or 3 bottles each. So he'll have maybe 4, 8, I don't know, wine bottles. I don't know the word on tap, I guess.
I think you can say on tap. I think that's
they're
fine.
already opened, uncorked, and in this machine, and you just put your little pay card and say, I think you can select 2 ounces or 4 ounces.
I think it's by the ounce, yeah.
How many ounces of that wine you want, and it dispenses your wine for you.
Which is cool.
You can go, it's like an automatic bartender, I guess. So you can do that. You can go in there. You can get a nice a slice and a pizza or a sandwich or
charcuterie.
Or a salad. They got some great salads in there. A glass of wine or a tea, soda pop, water, the whole.
That's very good.
Schlemiel there. And a good deal. And open evenings. And so we're looking forward to that.
Yeah. And I'm going to have to pick a Thursday, Friday, or Saturday evening to pop in there sometime very soon.
And absolutely. Wish we could do it this Saturday night, but we're going to be busy. We're going to be at the Logan Rogersville Educational Foundation Gala. We're going to be there at the White River Room. We'll be there.
Have you figured out what sports attire you're going to wear?
I'll be wearing my Stan Musial jersey.
There you go.
That is virtually the only sports attire I own.
Yeah, I have some Cardinal
rather than
stuff.
some sort of taekwondo uniform, which I think would probably...
Please wear a taekwondo uniform. Dude, you and Shelby both. You guys look like ninjas when you wear them. Please wear it.
Oh, I don't think I could pull that off. That'd be pretty funny, though, wouldn't it? You said sports attire. This is what we do.
If you show up in a taekwondo uniform, I'm trying to think of like...
What's in it for me?
Yeah, what? I don't know. I'll give you a gold star.
Anyway.
That would make a splash.
It would be epic, wouldn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I've got some Cardinals stuff, but we watched 5 seconds of the game last night. I'm on the struggle bus. I'm on the struggle bus with sports in general. I can't. I'm like, I want to care, and I'm watching, and I can't care.
I get that.
It's weird.
The Cardinals are not. I mean, I don't know. Maybe the season's young. Who knows? But they've not been good the last.
It's predicted to not be good.
We're playing with the asinine designated hitter rule now internationally, which I do not like.
Here's a funny thing.
Pitch clocks. I don't like any of that.
I've been watching Northern Exposure. We've talked about this, the show from the 90s.
I still
and
plan
I'm
to
in
go
season
back and
5. And in that show last night, they were watching baseball, and I can't remember what rule they said, but they're like, "Oh, the new rule is going to ruin baseball." And that was back in the early '90s, and so every new rule is going to ruin baseball.
Yeah. Well, in my opinion, they finally did.
They finally ruined it.
So there's that, which kind of makes me want to watch it less. I mean, my team's not doing good. There's rules that I hate, but then this whole. Basically, I've got to pay, $80-$90 a month?
So confusing.
To get, I guess it's Fubo.
I don't know. Why have they made it so freaking hard to watch TV?
I think it's like DirecTV or Fubo. There's one,
I don't even know what Fubo is. I thought
it's
Fubo was a clothing brand.
I don't know. There's two different services that I think I'm aware of when I looked at this that you can subscribe to get Bally Sports. More Midwest, which gets you most of the Cardinals games, but it's like $80 or $90 a month, and I don't want to pay that to just watch baseball. You know what I want to do? I want to click on it and go, "You want to watch this game? Yeah, it's $1.99. Great, boom, I'll watch it.
I'll watch it.
$2, $5. I don't care. I'll do that, or I'll be like, "Hey, you want to subscribe to the St. Louis Cardinals season for $99? Yeah. Heck yeah, I'm in."
Isn't it crazy that we have to pay? And I guess it's always been this way with cable. Because, I mean, think of the package of the bundles, the channels you got that you never watched. I mean, it's just like, I don't know.
Well, it's basically communism. Because we're going to basically take a couple of things that you do want, so that you'll buy the package, slam it together with a bunch of crap that you don't want, just so they've got so they have a place to take up space, I guess.
I don't know.
So you're basically supplementing all these channels.
TV's gotten so confusing to me because I turn on our TV and I'm not really sure where I'm supposed to go or what I'm supposed to do because Jesse's like on top of that and he I've got this for these months and then after that it expires at this price and so then I'm going to switch to this and because he does watch football and I mean we used to diligently watch baseball. We'd like, we need this for this season But at this point, I'm like, you've made it too hard for me. I no longer care.
Well, that's kind of what you have to do. Now, I will say this one thing, and I'm kind of an Apple fan. I think they do a good job with their products. Generally speaking, not as good since Steve Jobs died, but the quality control just went down. But we have an Apple TV. I have a lot of Apple TVs around. I use them a lot. And one thing that's really cool about your Apple TV is, because, you're talking about, you're subscribed to Paramount Plus, and you're subscribed to Peacock, and you're subscribed to the ABC and all these other, and like which show is on which app. Well, all of those on your Apple TV can be linked together with your TV app.
Okay.
And then it doesn't matter which, like Hulu, they're all tied together.
It's all there.
Doesn't matter. You just go to your TV app and pick the show you want to watch. The only app that I have that I use that's not integrated, Netflix. Netflix will not.
They're doing their own thing.
Like we're not going to play, which I think is much to their detriment. Because I sometimes forget to see, hey, what's on the Netflix?
Netflix is like, hey, you guys have been sharing my password for a gajillion years. I'm mad at you.
Yeah.
I'm not going to make it easy.
That's true. Hey, speaking of Netflix,
Yeah.
nerd alert, real quick.
Okay, I'm ready.
I'll just have you
I'm
out.
ready for the nerd alert.
They just released season 1 of a live-action remake of The Last Airbender.
Okay.
It's fantastic.
Okay.
So if you don't know, The Last Airbender was an animated show, probably from
I've heard
early
this phrase before.
2000s, I guess. Really well done. Funny show, great. You know, adults liked it. I was an adult in the early 2000s. Nerd,
was I.
granted. But maybe 90s. I don't know. I can't remember how old it was. Really good show.
Yeah.
Then they turned around and they tried to make a live action movie of it.
Okay.
And so you've got this cartoon. It's kind of martial artsy, kind of magic-y, kind of fantasy, but with a healthy dose of comedy
Okay.
in it.
For fun. Yeah, it's funsies. Yep.
And they hired M. Night Shyamalan, Ding Dong,
Shyamalan.
to
Not a good fit.
be the director. So this movie was terrible. I mean,
Yeah,
it had the whole flavor was different.
Yeah, it's not good. That's not a good fit. That guy is interesting. He's an interesting.
He makes some good movies, but he needs to stay in his lane.
He's made some really good movies. I don't know. He's an interesting guy.
He needs to make those weird, quirky, kind of suspenseful, kind of scary movies.
Yeah.
He's a Sixth Sense guy, right?
Yes.
Yeah, that was his first one, and then he did The Village.
Yeah, he
and
did several.
the Somebody in the Water or something like that.
Somebody in the water.
Where there's like a twist to it.
Yeah,
you know, and that's great. He's
very
good at that.
Suspenseful twist.
But
movies.
that's not what this movie was. But
No.
I've watched the first episode of the live action,
and it's on point.
Yeah, and it's almost virtually a shot for shot remake of the animated series.
That's good.
And which has got me intrigued because there's some really funny, really cool episodes of that show. When they animated it. They tried to make a sequel to that called Legend of Korra. I don't think it really caught on. I know a lot of people watch it. I have not. I should probably watch that. I enjoyed it. But all right, we'll shut down the nerd alert now.
The nerd alert has been broadcast. I tell you what. Speaking of nerds, and I don't know how this relates to nerds at all. I just said that, but the pollen is trying to pluck my eyeballs from my head and irritate them and then put them back in.
Yeah, no,
it's frustrating.
Was commenting on that.
Spring allergies are a little rough right now.
I've gotten to where I'm on the Flonase all the time. Primarily because of a sleep issue. I would get, I'm not sure if it's that or if it's acid reflux, but I was waking up like I had aspirated saliva.
Ew.
And I would be wheezing and choking.
You're like,
and, wake up the whole house. It
like
kind of felt like it. It's pretty scary. So I've been to a gastroenterologist to check on that.
And they're like, hey, you need Flonase.
They're like Flonase and antacid, so I got both of those, and it hasn't happened since I've been to the doctor.
Well, it was back to a subject probably actually maybe want to hear about. I don't know.
Yeah, me aspirating saliva. You don't think that's interesting?
I don't know. It might be. Easter, was this weekend. Did you have any good food? What'd you guys do for food?
Well, yeah, I think we did.
I think we did. No one said otherwise.
No. So we we had the kids over, and so we had like our own little ham and cheese charcuterie that Shelby put together, kind of for snacky on Saturday night. I got up Sunday morning and I went to
Easter eggs.
I went to the grocery store. I went to the Apple Market and we were out of eggs. We made We made cookies the night before, Shelby did, and so I bought eggs, and I made bacon and eggs and sausage and
stuff.
hash browns. I have a cast iron. It's really kind of like a cookie sheet.
Yeah.
It's got a little lip on it.
Yeah.
And I throw it on the big burner on the gas stove, and I can make a griddle out of it. And so I griddled all of that stuff for breakfast.
Good breakfast.
And then the day before, I had made a brine, and I had sunk a couple of tri-tips in it. And
Nice.
so they'd been soaking in brine
I too
overnight.
brined meat over the weekend.
So those went on the Weber to smoke.
Yep.
Basically, and we had the smoked tri-tip for lunch. It was delicious.
That's good.
It came out good. How about yourself?
I had some for a friend Emma over there at the Tough Garden Outpost, which will be opening this month.
13 days.
It's exciting. I had a fresh ham, so an uncured ham from Emma, a pig.
Copper top.
And Copper Top, and I brined it. I read a recipe because I didn't want to cure it. That's a different process.
Oh, yeah.
That involves different things. But I found a Food Network recipe for you brine it for 3 days and then basically roast it, right? And what was really interesting to me is you brine things, tri-tip for several days, poultry, turkey. I don't brine that many things, but I'm like this standard. It's a large 7+ pound chunk of meat. Makes sense that it can be in brine, but the comments on the recipe are like, this is going to kill you, botulism, and you can't have. And I'm just like,
if you do it right,
pump the brakes.
Yeah.
I don't think Food Network is going to release a recipe that is going to put you in a health and safety risk. And it's so like, I think the weirdest thing about what we deal with in our daily lives is this debate of information, because everything that you look at, like especially on social media, because like when I look at a recipe and I think I'm going to make it, so usually I can just tell by the recipe if it's going to be good or not. Right? You get to a point where you've cooked long enough.
And here's the thing. That's true. But for me, what happens to me is if I'm wrong, it's because I thought it was not going to be good and it turned out to be awesome.
Yeah.
Usually it's not. If I think it looks good, it is good. But I may look at one and go, that doesn't sound like it's going to work. And then I'm like, holy cow.
It was amazing.
It was amazing.
And so then I'll read the comments, especially before I embark on a recipe like this one that's like a several day prep, right? Something that I really don't, like I said, don't brine. Because Jesse primarily is the one that like smokes meat stuff in our house. So I'm usually not the one messing with that. So, but the comments, it's like, I've been a cook for 30 years, and if you don't use the pink salt, which is curing salt, you run the risk of killing your whole family, and it's irresponsible. And then the next comment is, this is amazing. My whole entire family loved it. We're still alive.
Well, I mean, I think there's a healthy dose of collect information and use logical reasoning based on the information you have. And so, what I think people that don't know meat, don't know beef in particular, don't understand is they're going to that meat hangs for weeks.
Oh yeah, you're not getting fresh. Well, and the other comical thing to me was
wet aged, dry aged meat. Yeah,
this quote professional in their mind had said, well, and if it's discussing a fresh ham, that means it's never been frozen. Okay,
there's an argument to be made.
Pump the brakes, though. Pump the brakes. Yeah. I believe most pork is frozen in the United States to prevent a worm that lives within pork. It starts with a T. It's got a big, long name. And it did used to make lots of people sick. And my understanding is, so I don't think in general when you're showing up at the grocery store, you're getting meat that's never been frozen.
Yeah. Fresh, never frozen is you can see
and
that.
I'm just like, I think you're running more of a risk. And anyway, it's the whole point of it is the confident answers that are so, and it's like, how do you make a decision anymore?
I will say this, as part of my culinary journey, I took the ServSafe certification classes. So I took the ServSafe, like if you just want to work at a restaurant as a cook or a server, you take ServSafe. I also took the manager level where I'm ServSafe manager. So I hold those certifications right now.
Taking it up a notch. Yeah.
Thanks. But, that's just a kind of like, okay, now I have a better understanding of the way some things work. And so when you understand that, you can be a little more hopefully confidently right about stuff.
Yeah.
And so you take anything, right? And just operate by ServSafe standards. So I'm going to take a piece of meat, it's below 42 degrees.
Yeah.
42 degrees. I'm going to keep it in the refrigerator. I'm going to keep it below 42 degrees. I'm going to make my brine.
Yeah.
Right? I'm going to boil it because that's how you make a brine. I'm going to cool it down. I'm going to use ice to cool it down. I'm going to cool it down in the refrigerator, and I'm going to quickly take it through the danger zone, right?
Yeah.
That we talk about, down to where the brine is below 42 degrees.
Yeah.
I'm going to put the the cold meat in the cold brine in a cooler with ice on it, and monitor the temperature for 3 days and keep adding ice to make sure that it stays below 42 degrees. Yeah. It's the exact same thing as keeping your refrigerator for 3 days.
Yeah, I know.
It's staying cold. It's in the safe zone. There's nothing dangerous about it.
I know. And it's one of those things. It's like somebody told me yesterday, they're like, I took my Facebook app off my phone. I'm like, I don't blame you. Why'd you do that? And they're like, well, I read some comments and then I found myself being irritated like the whole day.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, That is true. It's like you're filtering through all this information, which is new, right? We've always had access to information.
But the troll used to be Fred that lived over across the tracks, and that was the troll. You knew Fred.
Like one troll in town, maybe two. And you knew Fred, and if you wanted to avoid Fred, it was pretty easy. You just avoided Fred.
Yeah, now Fred shows up in your newsfeed.
Because usually Fred had a pretty common path, right? Mm-hmm. You'd probably run into him at the gas station, the coffee shop. You're just like, I got to stay away from Fred. So I don't need to hear Fred today. Now, you can't avoid it.
Right.
Like, you can't unless you go hermit style, which makes it impossible to do business in most cases, right? Because you do, unfortunately, if you're doing business in this world, you pretty well have to have some sort of online presence, right?
Right. Well, and you and I are both in businesses where you know that you can do everything perfect and somebody's going to be off their rocker, and saying nuts at you about something. I think that, though, it requires, I don't know, perhaps the rediscovery of an old skill, maybe, or the development of a new skill, which we just can easily call it thick skin.
Yeah. I think that's true.
And I think there's something to be said for, hey, let's just all put our big girl, big boy pants on and deal with it. I mean, the guy's a jerk. He's a jerk. Fine. He can be a jerk. Not everybody's going to love you. That's hard. That's kind of a hard lesson to learn growing up, is maybe not everybody's going to like you. And that's okay.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
That's
okay.
It is.
And that is part of life. And I think it's going to be interesting to see as, the age of people who have been exposed to this throughout their entire life age. I'm going to go out on a limb and say, I bet they'll have thicker skin about it. The younger generation, than people my age and over.
Well, I hope so.
I hope so too.
The other thought is, if they survive, that's the problem. And I don't mean to be too jovial about that, but I mean that's a problem.
Yeah.
In fact, that just I just got to talk about it. I think maybe I saw you post this, but I had actually seen it before. It's happened a couple of times now. There's a deal that goes around, and anybody that's got kids, high school, even a little bit younger, need to know this. They'll get an email that says, we've got pictures, screenshots, and video of you and the websites you've been visiting, and we're going to show that you've been watching porn on your laptop unless you Bitcoin us $5,000 or something.
We're going to tell all your family.
Yeah, we're going to tell your family. And we've had kids kill themselves over
It happened
that.
recently, locally.
Locally it did, yeah.
And I mean...
And it's not true. They don't have it. They can't do it.
Oh, my gosh.
And it's even if they did, it's not worth it.
There was a specific situation with a local teenager. I mean, just terrible. Maybe 30 minutes outside of Springfield. I cannot remember the name of the town. And I read the whole article, and I did share it.
Yeah, you did.
Because I was
that brought it to mind again for me when you did that.
What on earth?
Yeah.
And I mean, how... I guess it's like out there, like you can't ever get in a situation where you feel like you can't talk to anyone.
For sure.
That is when nightmares happen.
Yep.
And that I just felt for that family. And God bless the police department and the family and the sheriff's department for putting that information out there and getting past their own, I think, probably grief and, maybe even thoughts of embarrassment about the situation, because he committed suicide and there's such a stigma associated with that. Yeah. I mean, bless them for putting that out there.
Yeah. Well,
because people need to know. And
yeah, they do need to know.
On a completely other, not nearly as tragic situation, one of our local title companies put out an email yesterday. We always hear about this fraud that happens, right? This where an entity hacks someone's email, they mimic a title company, they have people wire money before a transaction, and they lose their life savings. Yeah. Okay, and so you always hear about these stories, and it's happening. And you need to be mindful of your clients. Well, the title company yesterday posted the facts of a situation. Where a couple were buying a lake house, and at the closing table, they were sitting there, and the closer asked for the check, and they said, well, we wired it 2 days ago, $176,000. And, back to that, something like that can cause someone to commit suicide. Yeah, it can have lasting, rippling effects.
You're sick.
That luckily had a happy ending because a bank, there was just enough weirdness in the situation, and when they initially wired it, they had an account number wrong and the wire didn't go through, and so then they called the person and they sent another, and then that caused the bank to flag it. But had the wire number been correct the first time, the money'd been gone.
Wow.
And what?
We see, yeah. Well,
what?
You see that? We see a lot of that too. And there's some things at our law firm that we do for free for people.
Yeah.
You know, we'll notarize stuff. If you need something notarized, come by the office. We'll notarize it for you. We don't charge you for that. If you are a parent of minor children, we will do what we call a minor protection plan for you for free.
Yeah.
Which is where you can fill out some paperwork. We'll sign it, notarize it, so that if something happens to both mom and dad, the kids won't go to foster care until grandpa and grandma can petition to be guardians, or aunt and uncle can petition to be guardians. They can be guardians immediately.
Yeah.
So we do that paperwork for people for free. Just stop by and minor protection planning. But the other thing is, if you get something you think's a little wonky like that, and you're like, I don't know if this is a scam or not, check with me. Call the office, send me an email. wworsham at willworsham.com will get you that. You can email me that, and I'll give you my best guess as to whether or not it's a scam or not.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you what, if you're emailing me about it because you have a question, it's a scam. I can just tell you right now.
Yeah.
It's going to be a scam. So you mentioned what you see in your profession. I form LLCs, I form not-for-profit companies, and we record a lot of deeds. And so we have kept the letters. So there's a company down in Florida. They scrape nationally.
Oh, this is so frustrating.
Scrape the database of all new filings, and then they will send a letter that looks like an official government form that basically implies very strongly that you have to send them some amount of money. Somewhere
usually about $80.
It depends. I've seen everyone from $45 up to $395, and that was the one that was the most expensive. Was for a non-for-profit organization. They sent them a demand letter, basically, that said, "Hey, to obtain your certificate of good standing, you need to send this back to us. Pay us $395." Oh. And tiny print on there. It's like, we're not a government agency. You don't really have to do this. Yeah. But it's so small, and the form looks so official. People do it. We have made copies of those, and we have laminated them, and we show them to our clients. You're probably going to get one of these.
Be ready.
Ignore it. If you get something like that and you're not sure, call me. One of the ways we got alerted this happened one time is I had got an angry phone call from a client that said, "You said everything was included in the fee I paid you." I'm like, It is. Well, why did I get this? I'm like, that's a scam.
Yeah.
Remember the document we showed you.
Well, it's a legal scam, right?
It's legal.
And
they're complying with the law, barely.
That's one of the again, this access to information. There's these companies, people preying on individuals who are trying to be compliant, right? Because there's a large portion of the population who wants to be compliant.
Maybe our compliance is too rigorous.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And so here we are, and that they do that with copies of deeds. When you buy a house, you'll get a little postcard that says you need to send $80 for a copy of your deed.
Yeah.
No, this is all public information.
Yeah, we get that.
You get all that. You'll get mailed that.
Recorded deed notice is what it says on the letter.
Yeah, and it's so take it a step further. There are, I don't want to be too specific about this and get myself in trouble, but there are companies, contractors, and often they're large companies. You'll see lots of billboards, lots of advertising on TV that will come out and convince you have a problem with your home. Mm. And it's a scary problem too. And they're not structural engineers. They're not qualified contractors to diagnose. They're salespeople.
They just show up at random, or?
No, you call them because you see their billboard and you're like, "Oh, I've got this problem."
And then they call
and
say,
then lo and behold,
you
financed 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, $100,000 worth of work on your property
that you maybe didn't need.
Or a qualified professional wasn't brought in.
Get a second opinion.
Get a second opinion. For Pete's sake, get a second opinion. If something is costing you big time cringy money, you need to get a second opinion.
That's smart. That's a really good idea.
You need to.
The other thing that I saw going around a lot was, hey, these thieves, they're filing a quitclaim deed on your house, and then they're taking out a big mortgage on your property.
Yeah.
And so you need to lock your title, and you pay this company so much a month for that. I'm like, just call the recorder's office and ask them to put you on the notification. I mean, it's a free service. But this company is, so what you have right now is you have a lot of companies selling free services that you can do for free for a fee.
Yeah.
Yeah, for a fee. And,
Well, and that came up recently on, I'm one of the admins on the residence page, and somebody was wanting to post a website that was supposed to help you monitor the sex offenders list, okay? The sex offenders list is ran by the Highway Patrol.
Yeah,
you go to their website, you search, it's right there, it's free. Mm-hmm. Well, and we declined the post, right? Because we're like, this is a third-party website. I'm declining this post because, it's sending someone to something I'm not familiar with.
It's my page, I can do what I want.
Yeah. And if they are interested in that, it's readily available. Well, then that person decides, this is suspicious that they've declined it, implying that we're like sex offenders.
Yeah.
And I'm like, pump the brakes. And I just messaged them. I'm like, this is a third-party website.
Here's the group rules.
And they probably want to charge you for this information or put you on some sort of service.
Yeah, you're going to be on a new list.
Here is the source of the information, right? And it's the same thing with like real estate. MLS is the source of the information for listed, and off it goes to Zillow and Realtor.com, and then Zillow wants me to pay for leads off of my information. And it's just like, whoa. And it's become so difficult to sort through all of this because it's constant.
I think the original scam for that kind of stuff for me, for what I thought was the Yellow Pages.
Yeah.
It's like
yeah.
You want me to? I wouldn't do it. I never did it. I wouldn't pay them. I'm like, you're a scam.
Well, it's like I've never bought a Zillow lead because I'm like,
and what really torqued
my
me
information
off, at the end of the Yellow Page era, which thank goodness they're gone now. What really torqued me off was you had the Yellow Pages, right?
Yeah.
By the phone company, and then you had all these other Yellow Page directories.
Yeah.
And so it's like they're providing nothing of value to the community. It's duplicate information that's already out there. But because if I'm going to advertise in the Yellow Pages, because somebody might pick up their book instead of the real book, I've got to pay them.
Yeah.
It's like you're providing no value. I mean, I laid into a guy one time because I'm like, you're providing no value.
Yeah.
But you're basically forcing small business owners to pay extra because you're duplicating information, and somebody might grab your book by mistake. I didn't like it. I thought that was really shady to do that because the book was already out there.
Yeah, and it's another increasingly difficult thing about our society is it's become not. Back 20 years ago, your likelihood of getting scammed was relatively low.
Well, and they were going to look you in the eye when they did it.
Exactly. And they still scammed people, but, it was a personal thing.
Yeah.
Or maybe by phone. Mm-hmm. Now, it's not a you might happen once a year run across some shyster. It's every hour of every day you're encountering some sort of scam in your life.
And they suck the money right out of your account.
Yeah, whether it's a phone call, a Facebook post, the old-fashioned way, face-to-face, companies mailing you things. It's literally become an every hour of every day situation.
And the proliferation of that also is just complicated life in general, because I was dealing with an issue with a company. I was trying to get something set up the other day, and they're like, okay, we're going to call you. I'm like, that's not going to work.
Yeah.
And they're like, what do you mean? I'm like, my phone does not accept incoming calls from unknown numbers. If you can tell me the number you're calling me from, I'll put it in. I'll whitelist it. Like, well, our system just uses one of our random numbers. I'm like, I can't help you.
Yeah.
I said, it's too much trouble for me to go in and undo that, and I'm not going to undo it because my phone will ring incessantly all day long with scammers and spam
it's constant.
And all
my
that.
Phone rings constantly.
So I have to block it. I have to keep that in place.
Yeah.
Or I can't get anything done. And so so that's now complicated legitimate business transactions because of all the shady people out there.
It's crazy.
Just remember, all have sinned and come short of the glory of God. Everybody's a bad person. And that's how you know. There's that one song, I believe most people are good, is a line in the song. I'm like, that's not true. That's bad theology right there.
Well, we've rambled on. We've waffled for a long time, like 45 minutes.
45 minutes.
And
Good
we've
show.
talked about a lot of scams. But at the end of the day, we want to talk about this stuff so people know.
Yep.
Because we don't want to see people get scammed.
Yeah.
Please, our professions are highly involved in the scamming of people.
If you have a question, just ask us. We'll be happy to set you straight.
Holy moly.
We're not going to send you a bill.
Don't ever get in
Don't
a situation where you feel so embarrassed you can't ask for help.
Please.
Because somebody else has done the same thing, and you shouldn't be embarrassed. You should get some help. So,
Amen.
Yep.
Preach on.
All right. Well, Have a good rest of your week, everybody.
We'll be back next week. Thanks for watching.
See ya.